step into the raw, thunderous heart of Greek mythology, where gods stirred the sky, heroes defied fate, and the world was born from chaos. Forged by poets like Homer and Hesiod, these ancient tales of love, war, and wonders still echo through our books. Stars and dreams. Let's begin. First there was chaos, a sprawling emptiness, black and heavy, stretching wide with nothing to hold. Then Gaia rose up, the earth herself, solid with stone and rivers cutting through her like veins. Tartarus came next, a jagged abyss far below, cold as frost shadows pooling in its depths. Eros stirred too, love's quiet pull, a force that hummed through the void, tying what was to what would be. Gaia felt the ache of being alone. She called forth Uranus the sky, shaping him from her longing, his vast dome of stars arching over her, a shimmering blue that held her close. They came together fierce and tender, and from their union, the Titans were born 12 giants with power in their bones. Oceanus, a river, wrapping the world, his currents restless, carrying the salt of life. Hyperion, the sun hauling fire across the heavens, his light spilling gold. Selene the moon, her glow soft and pale, a lantern for the night. Themis with eyes that saw justice clear, her voice steady. Cronus the youngest, tough as iron, gripping a sickle that gleamed cold. Others followed: Coeus, Creus, Iapetus, each name a weight, a promise of strength. Gaia and Uranus didn't stop. They brought forth the Cyclopes, 3 brothers each, with a single eye burning in their foreheads, their hands hammering out storms. Then the Hecatoncheires, 3 more, wild with 50 heads and 100 arms apiece, their shouts cracking the ground. Uranus couldn't stand them, their chaos too much for his sky. He hurled them into Tartarus, deep down where the dark swallowed their roars. Gaia felt their absence like a wound, her heart heavy with their cries echoing through her roots. Cronus took charge of the Titans, his grip tight, his shadow long across the earth. Gaia whispered to him, her voice low, telling him of Uranus's betrayal, locking her children away. She handed Cronus a sickle, its edge like a winter wind, sharp enough to cut through fate. Cronus waited patient as stone. When Uranus came down to Gaia under the cover of night, Cronus moved fast. He swung the sickle, slicing Uranus apart, his power spilling out. Blood hit the ground hot and dark. From it sprang the Furies, their hair writhing with snakes, their eyes blazing red, vengeance in their screams. The giants grew too, their feet sinking into the earth, towering high, out in the sea, where the blood mixed with foam. Aphrodite rose, her beauty, sharp as a blade, her laugh a dangerous song. Cronus claimed the throne, his hands stained. He took Rhea, his sister, as his wife, their union steady but shadowed. They had children, Hestia with her warm hearth, Demeter who'd make fields bloom, Hera proud as a queen, Hades quiet and dark, Poseidon restless like the tide. But Cronus heard a whisper, a prophecy that one of his own would bring him down. He wouldn't let it happen. Each child born, he swallowed whole, their tiny cries fading inside him. Rhea watched her heart breaking until Zeus came. She hid him on Crete, in a cave on Mount Ida, where nymphs sang over him like a lullaby. She wrapped a stone in a blanket, handed it to Cronus. He swallowed it, never knowing his throat tight with fear. Zeus grew up strong, fed by Amalthea, a goat with milk like cream, her bells jingling in the wind. When he was ready, he came back, his step sure. He slipped Cronus a potion bitter as gall brewed from Gaia's herbs. Cronus choked, his stomach heaving. Out came the stone first, then his children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon grown and fierce, their eyes burning with years of waiting. They turned on the Titans, a war called the 𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠, 10 years of fire and thunder. The earth split the sky. Roared Zeus, freed the Cyclopes and 𝐏𝐞𝐳𝘆𝘀𝑢𝑟𝑒s from Tartarus, their chains snapping like twigs. The Cyclopes forged thunderbolts, jagged and bright for Zeus to throw. Poseidon wielded a trident, cracking mountains open. Hades wore a helm that made him a shadow unseen. The 𝐏𝐞𝐳𝘆𝑢𝑟𝑒s hurled rocks 100 at a time, the air thick with dust. Cronus and the Titans crumbled, locked away in Tartarus, their time done. Zeus and his siblings climbed Mount Olympus, their new home, the air crisp, the peak theirs. Zeus sat on a throne of marble, his thunderbolts stacked beside him, his eagle circling above wings, cutting the wind. Hera, his sister-turned wife, stayed close, her gaze sharp, her hands guarding the bonds of marriage with a jealous heart. Poseidon claimed the sea, building a palace under the waves, its walls coral and pearl, his trident stirring the tides into a dance. Hades took the underworld, his throne cold, his helm hiding him in shadows. The dark, his kingdom. Demeter walked the earth, her fingers trailing through wheat, her laugh bringing harvests, the fields golden under her touch. Athena burst from Zeus' skull, born whole, her armor gleaming, an owl perched on her shoulder, her mind clear as a blade. Apollo drove the sun across the sky, his lyre singing his arrows straight, his voice carrying truth like a song. Artemis, his twin, roamed the woods, her bow drawn, her arrows whispering through the trees. Moonlight tangled in her hair, Ares thrived on war, his spear red with blood, his chariot rattling his temper, a wildfire. Aphrodite moved like a breeze, her smile a spark, love trailing her like a scent, gods and men stumbling in her wake. Hephaestus, lame but steady, worked the forge, his hammer ringing, crafting shields and chains, the firelight on his scarred face. Hermes darted everywhere, his sandals winged, his grin sly, carrying messages and mischief in equal measure. Dionysus laughed among the vines, the 𝘠𝑚, wine staining his lips, his followers dancing in the hills, their feet bare, ivy twisted in their hair. 12 gods, their thrones in a circle on Olympus, their voices rising and falling, their quarrels shaking the clouds, their loves weaving stories into the stars. Prometheus, a titan who'd slipped through the war, had a soft spot for humans. He watched them huddle in caves, their hands empty, their nights cold, their bellies tight. Zeus didn't care, his eyes on the sky. Prometheus couldn't stand it. He climbed to the heavens, to Hyperion's chariot, the sun blazing hot, and stole a spark, hiding it in a hollow reed, its glow faint but alive. He carried it down, handed it to the humans. They gathered round their faces, lit, warming their hands, roasting meat, shaping tools from the flames. Zeus smelled the smoke, the glow. He chained Prometheus to a jagged peak in the Caucasus, the iron biting his wrists, the wind howling. An eagle came, each morning, its wings broad, its beak tearing into Prometheus's liver blood, dripping down the rock. Night came, the liver grew back, the pain sharp again by dawn. Prometheus clenched his jaw, saying nothing. He'd given humans fire, a light worth the suffering. Zeus wasn't done. He sent Pandora, a woman carved from clay, Her eyes curious, a jar in her hands. She lifted the lid and outpoured grief. Sickness, hunger, despair, spreading fast. Hope stayed inside a quiet flicker, all that was left. Prometheus watched from his chains, the eagle circling his gift, still burning below. Orpheus had a lyre that could make stones weep, his fingers pulling notes sweeter than a spring breeze. He loved Eurydice, her laughter bright as dawn, her feet dancing through the grass. On their wedding day, a snake struck her heel, its venom quick, her body cold before the sun set. Orpheus wouldn't let her go. He descended to the underworld, his lyre slung over his shoulder, playing a song so raw Hades' cold heart softened. Persephone's eyes wet with tears, Hades gave him a chance, led Eurydice out, but don't look back until they reached the light. Orpheus walked her steps, a faint echo behind him. The air heavy, doubt crept in. Was she really there? He turned just a step from the sun. She faded her hand, reaching her voice a whisper, lost in the dark. Orpheus wandered alone, his music mournful until women wild with grief tore him apart. His lyre drifting down a river still singing. Pygmalion carved a woman from ivory, her curves smooth, her face perfect, her name 𝘞𝘳𝘴. He fell for her, tracing her lines with trembling hands, wishing she'd breathe. He prayed to Aphrodite, his voice barely a whisper during her festival, the air thick with flowers. He came home, touched the statue, felt warmth under his fingers. Her eyes opened, her lips parted, her heart beat. Aphrodite had listened. Pygmalion and 𝘞𝘳𝘴 lived side by side, their days quiet, their children filling the house with laughter. Echo, a nymph with a voice like a stream, talked too much. Hera cursed her, stripping her words, leaving her to repeat what others said. Echo saw Narcissus, a boy with a face carved from marble, hunting by a pool. She loved him, followed him, her echoes trailing his calls. Narcissus found the pool, saw his reflection fell hard, for it whispering to the water, reaching for the face that mirrored his echo, repeated his words, her longing clear. But he didn't hear her. He stayed there, wasting away his body, turning into a flower petals, white and gold. Echo faded into the hills. Her voice, a lonely call, repeating forever. Perseus came from Danae, a princess locked in a tower, and Zeus, who fell as golden rain through her window. Her father, King Acrisius, feared a prophecy that Perseus would kill him, so he sealed them in a wooden chest, cast them into the sea. The waves carried them to Seriphos, where fishermen pulled them ashore. King Polydectes wanted Danae for himself, but Perseus stood in the way. Polydectes sent him after Medusa, a gorgon with snakes for hair, her eyes turning men to stone. Athena gave Perseus a shield polished like a mirror, Hermes a sickle that cut clean, and the 𝘁𝐴, 3 old hags sharing one eye, told him where to find Medusa after he snatched their eye bargaining hard. With winged sandals, he flew to her cave, the air thick with hissing. He watched her reflection in the shield, swung the sickle, took her head. From her blood sprang Pegasus, a winged horse, his hooves light. Perseus flew back, showed Polydectes the head, turned him to stone, his crown useless. Years later, a discus Perseus threw at a game struck Acrisius dead. The prophecy fulfilled, the old king's blood on the sand. Jason wanted his throne in Iolcus, stolen by his uncle, Peleus. Peleus sent him for the golden fleece, a ram's hide, golden and shimmering, guarded in Colchis by a dragon that never slept. Jason built the Argo, its wood sturdy, its sails wide, and gathered the Argonauts Heracles with strength like a bull. Orpheus, whose lyre calmed the sea. Castor and Pollux, twin fighters, their fists quick. They sailed through the clashing rocks, 2 cliffs that smashed ships, a dove leading them through the narrow gap. The rocks grazing their stern. On Lemnos, women who'd killed their husbands welcomed them, their smiles warm, but Heracles called them back to the ship, the horizon pulling them on. Harpies, bird women plagued Phineus, a blind seer stealing his food, their wings stinking of rot. The Argonauts chased them off. Phineus' table full again, and he told them how to reach Colchis, his voice trembling with gratitude. In Colchis, King Aeetes set Jason impossible tasks, yoke bulls that breathed fire, their hooves scorching the earth. Sold dragon teeth that sprouted armed men, their swords drawn. Take the fleece from the dragon, its eyes never closing. Medea, Aeetes' daughter, a sorceress, with a sharp mind fell for Jason, her heart caught by Hera's magic. She gave him ointment to shield him from the bull's flames, a sword to cut down the warriors, and herbs to lull the dragon, its coils loosening as it slept. Jason grabbed the fleece, its gold heavy, and fled with Medea, her brother chasing them. Medea killed her brother, scattered his body in the sea, ETs, stopping to gather the pieces, his cries lost in the waves. They reached Iolcus, but Peleus wouldn't yield. Medea tricked his daughters, said she could make him young, had them boil him in a pot, his scream short. Jason took the throne, but left Medea for a new bride. Medea's rage burned cold. She killed their children, left Jason broken his crown. Hollow. Theseus, prince of Athens, heard of the Minotaur, a monster half-man, half-bull, locked in a labyrinth on Crete, Athens, sent 7 boys and girls each year, a tribute to King Minos. The beast, devouring them in the maze, Theseus stepped up his jaw, set his father Aegeus watching from the shore, begging for white sails on his return to signal he lived. In Crete, Ariadne, Minos' daughter, saw Theseus, her heart racing, and gave him a ball of thread to mark his path, her fingers brushing his as she handed it over. Theseus entered the labyrinth, its walls slick with moss, the Minotaur's bellows close, its horns glinting. He found it, drove his sword deep, the beast's blood pooling black. He followed the thread out, Ariadne waiting, her eyes bright. They sailed off, but Theseus left her on Naxos, her sobs echoing as he vanished over the waves. He forgot the white sails, his ship flying black ones. Aegeus, seeing them, thought, Theseus dead, threw himself into the sea, its waters named for him, blue and deep. The Trojan War started with a golden apple rolled into a wedding feast for Peleus and Thetis by Eris, goddess of discord, her grin sharp, the apple red to the fairest Hera. Athena and Aphrodite each reached for it, their voices rising their beauty. A storm Zeus wouldn't choose sent Paris, a Trojan prince, raised among shepherds to decide. Hera promised him power, Athena wisdom, Aphrodite the love of Helen, Menelaus' wife, her beauty a legend, her smile a snare. Paris picked Aphrodite, his fate sealed. He sailed to Sparta, welcomed as a guest, and took Helen, her steps silent, her eyes on the horizon, leaving Menelaus hollow. Menelaus called on Greece's kings, an oath binding them to defend his honor. Agamemnon, his brother, leading. Odysseus, clever and reluctant. Achilles, young and fierce, his mother hiding him in a girl's dress until Odysseus tricked him out. Ajax, a giant with a shield like a wall. 1,000 ships crossed the sea, their sails a forest landing on Troy's shore, its walls high, built by Poseidon and Apollo when they were young gods, their stones unyielding. Hector, Paris' brother, led Troy's defense, his spear steady, His wife, Andromache, holding their son Astyanax on the walls, her scarf catching the wind. 9 years dragged on the plains red with blood, the Greeks' campfires dotting the beach. Achilles and Agamemnon clashed over Briseis, a girl taken in a raid. Agamemnon claiming her. Achilles' pride stung. He stayed in his tent, the waves outside whispering while Hector drove the Greeks back, their ships burning the smoke thick. Patroclus, Achilles' closest friend, couldn't watch the slaughter. He wore Achilles' armor, led the Myrmidons, fought like a god, until Hector cut him down. His blood soaking the sand, his last breath a plea. Achilles heard his rage. A wildfire returned to the field, chased Hector around Troy's walls 3 times. The dust rising, then drove his spear through him, tied his body to a chariot, dragged it through the dirt. Priam, Troy's old king, came to Achilles' tent, his hands trembling, begged for his son, kissed the hands that killed him. Achilles softened, gave Hector back. His body washed his honor whole, Paris with Apollo's help, shot an arrow poison on its tip into Achilles' heel. The one spot Thetis hadn't dipped in the Styx, her fingers holding him there as a baby. Achilles fell, his glory gone, the sand red beneath him. Odysseus had a plan, a wooden oars, tall as a tower, hollow inside. Greek soldiers packed tight, their breaths shallow. The Greeks left it at Troy's gates, sailed away, their ships hidden behind an island, a spy. Sinon told the Trojans it was a gift to Athena, a plea for peace, his lies smooth. They pulled it in, the wheels creaking the city, cheering the horse looming over their streets. Night fell, Odysseus and his men slipped out, opened the gates. The Greek army poured in, their torches bright, their swords quick. Troy burned its towers, crumbling, Priam slain at his altar, Hecuba wailing, Cassandra dragged off, her warnings useless. Helen returned to Menelaus, her face untouched by the years, the war's cost carved into everyone else. Odysseus left Troy with his men, their ship heavy with spoils, his heart set on Ithaca, on Penelope's steady hands, on Telemachus' young face, a boy he'd barely held. Poseidon had other plans, his anger deep for what Odysseus did to Polyphemus, his Cyclops son, a grudge that churned the sea. The journey stretched 10 years each mile, a fight. They raided the Caicans first, a coastal people taking their wine and sheep, the air thick with victory. They stayed too long drunk on their haul, and the Ciconas rallied, killed 6 men from each ship, their spears finding flesh, the survivors rowing hard to escape, the shore fading red behind them. Next they reached the Lotus Eaters, a gentle folk with flowers that stole memory. Their petals sweet, Odysseus' men ate, their eyes glazing. Ithaca, a forgotten word. Odysseus hauled them back, tied them to the oars, their protests fading as the ship pulled away, the lotus's scent clinging to their hands. They landed on the Cyclopes island, Polyphemus' cave stacked with cheese and lambs, his single eye glinting in the firelight. He trapped them, ate 2 men each night, their bones snapping their screams short. Odysseus brought him wine, dark and strong called himself. Nobody waited for Polyphemus to sleep. They drove a sharpened stake into his eye, the sizzle loud, his roars shaking the cave. They hid under his sheep to escape their wool-thick Polyphemus blind, calling for help, shouting. Nobody attacked me, Odysseus couldn't resist, yelled his name as they sailed off. Am Odysseus of Ithaca, his pride a spark. Polyphemus prayed to Poseidon, his curse a weight on the waves. Aeolus, king of winds, gave Odysseus a leather bag, all the winds, but the west one tied inside to speed them home, the knots tight. They sailed 9 days. Ithaca's cliffs in sight, the air smelling of olive trees. His men greedy thinking, the bag held gold, untied it. The winds roared out a storm that threw them back to Aeolus, their chance gone. His island fading in the squall. The Laestrygonians came next, giants who ate men, their harbour narrow. They sank all but Odysseus' ship, their rocks heavy as mountains, the water red with blood, the screams of his men swallowed by the waves. On Circe turned his crew to pigs with a flick of her wand, her herbs bitter, her smile cold. Hermes gave Odysseus moly, a white flower, its roots shielding him. He drew his sword, made her swear no more tricks. Her voice low, her bed warm, she changed the men back. Their snouts gone hosted them a year, her feasts rich, her laughter soft. She sent them to the underworld, to Tiresias, a blind prophet, his shade thin, his words clear. Don't touch Helios's cattle, or you'll lose everything. They sailed on the siren's song, floating over the water, their voices promising knowledge, their cliffs lined with bones. Odysseus filled his men's ears with wax, had them tie him to the mast, the ropes biting his wrists. Their oars steady, he heard the song beg to go. But they rode past the music, fading, his heart pounding. Scylla loomed 6 heads, her teeth like knives, snatching 6 men, their cries sharp, their blood dripping into the sea. Charybdis spun below a whirlpool, her pool swallowing the tide, the ship barely slipping through the wood, groaning on Thrinacia, Helios' island. The men starving ignored Tiresias, killed the sacred cattle, while Odysseus slept their hides gold, their lowing soft. Helios raged. Zeus answered, struck the ship with a thunderbolt, the masts splintering, the men drowning their hands, reaching for nothing. Odysseus clung to a plank, the sea cold washing up on Ogygia, Calypso's island. Her cave draped in vines, her voice like honey, promising eternal life. She kept him 7 years, her arms warm, his heart cold. Ithaca, calling, Athena pleaded with Zeus, her voice firm, and Calypso let him go, her eyes wet, building him a raft, her hands gentle on the wood. Poseidon wasn't done, sent a storm waves, tall as trees breaking the raft. The logs scattering, Odysseus swam his arms heavy, until he reached Scheria, the Phaeacians' land, their beaches soft, their princess Nausicaa, finding him her maids, laughing her kindness a balm. The Phaeacians gave him a ship, treasures of bronze and gold, sailed him to Ithaca, the journey smooth. Odysseus asleep on the deck, dreaming of home. He woke on his shore, his palace overrun by suitors, their laughter loud. Penelope weaving a shroud to stall them, her hands steady, her hope thin. Odysseus disguised as a beggar by Athena, his face lined, his eyes sharp. Planned with Telemachus, their arrows flying, the suitors falling, their blood pooling on the floor. Penelope tested him, asked about their bed carved from a living olive tree, its roots deep, a secret only they shared. They held each other, the years melting away their love. A quiet fire. Dryads lived in the heart of trees, their spirits tied to oak and ash, their laughter a rustle in the leaves, their lives bound to the wood. A tree felled, a dryad died, her scream a faint echo through the forest, her body crumbling to dust. Nereids danced in the sea, 50 sisters born to Nereus, the old man of the waves, their hair tangled with seaweed, their songs rising with the tide, guiding sailors with their voices. Thetis and Nereid married Peleus, bore Achilles dipped him in the Styx to make him strong, her fingers on his heel, the water sliding off leaving one spot soft. Naiads watched over springs, their waters cold and clear, their beauty pulling men close, some drowning in their arms, the current gentle but firm. Satyrs roam the woods, their legs goat-like, their horns curling their flutes, playing sharp tunes, chasing nymphs through the underbrush, wine staining their beards, their dances wild under the moon. Pan, their god, played pipes carved from reeds, his beard thick, his eyes glinting, his love for Syrinx, turning her to reeds when she fled her sigh, becoming his music, the notes haunting. Centaurs galloped in, Thessaly half-horse, their hooves kicking dust and most rough, their hands quick, with a club, their knights loud with wine. Chiron stood apart, a centaur with a healer's touch, his cave on Mount Pelion smelling of herbs, teaching Asclepius to mend bones, his voice soft, his hands steady. Harpies swept down bird women with wings that stank of decay, their claws snatching food from Phineus' table, a seer, their punishment from Zeus for his loose tongue, leaving him hungry, his eyes blind. The chimera roamed Lycia, a lion's head, a goat's body, a snake for a tail, her breath fire, her roar splitting the air, until Bellerophon on Pegasus's back drove a spear through her, her flames dying. Her body, cold on the rocks, pride brought men low. Icarus, Daedalus' boy, got wings of feathers and wax, his father's hands, careful tying them tight to escape Crete Minos' grip. Daedalus warned him, his voice hard. Don't fly high, don't dip low, the sun and sea both deadly. Icarus didn't listen, soared up the sun, hot, the wax dripping, the feathers falling, his arms bare the sea, rushing up to meet him, his name on its waves, a lesson in the foam. Arachne wove better than most, her fingers quick, her tapestry alive. Boasted, she beat Athena, her voice loud in the village square. Athena came, her loom ready. They wove side by side Arachne's cloth, showing the god's flaws, her threads perfect. Her challenge clear, Athena's anger flared, turned her to a spider, her body small, her legs thin, her web. Her only tapestry, her pride spun into silk. Midas loved gold, his hands greedy, his palace cold with it. Dionysus owed him for saving Silenus, his old teacher. Stumbling drunk in the fields, offered a wish, his voice warm. Midas wanted a golden touch, his eyes bright. He got it, turned his table, his bread, his daughter, to gold. Her laugh, gone her body, a statue, his hunger sharp, his tears useless. He begged. Dionysus, his voice broken, to take it back. Dionysus sent him to the Pactolus river, its waters washing the gold away, the sands glittering his daughter, warm again, her arms around him, his lesson heavy. Hospitality kept the gods close, Baucis and Philemon, an old couple, their hut small, welcomed. Zeus and Hermes, dusty travelers, their bread simple, their wine thin, their smiles real. Others turned the gods away, their doors shut. Zeus flooded the land, the water rising slow, spared Baucis and Philemon, turned their hut to a temple, its columns white, granted their wish to die together, their bodies oak's branches, tangled roots deep. Hades ruled the underworld, his throne cut from obsidian, his eyes cold, his dog Cerberus at his feet. 3 heads snarling a snake for a tail, teeth like knives guarding the gates, so no soul slipped out. Persephone sat beside him, her crown of poppies, her smile faint. 6 pomegranate seeds tying her to the dark half, the year her mother Demeter mourning above the earth. Barren frost on the fields, the stakes wound around the realm, its waters black, oaths sworn on it unbreakable. Charon rowing souls across his oar, steady a coin on their tongues, for the fair his hands bony. The Lethe flowed quiet, its waters wiping memory, souls drinking their lives, forgotten their faces blank. The Acheron carried pain, the Cocytus wailed with grief, the Phlegeton burned with fire, their currents slow, their weight heavy. Minos Rhadamanthus and Aeacus judged the dead, their robes dark, their voices low, weighing lives like grain. The good went to Elysium, its fields green, a soft sun overhead, their laughter light, their days endless. The Begged fell to Tartarus deep and cold, where the Titans rotted their chains tight. Ixion spun on a wheel, his scream sharp. Sisyphus pushed a boulder up a hill, its weight crushing, always rolling back, his hands raw. Tantalus stood in water, fruit above his throat, dry the water sinking when he bent, the fruit rising out of reach, his hunger eternal. Heroes, like Heracles, walked the underworld, his steps heavy, ghosts crowding him. Their forms pale, their whispers thin, the air cold. Death's hold firm. Greek myths held fast, their roots deep. Hesiod scratched out the theogony around 1200 BCE, his quill sharp, the gods coming alive on papyrus, their births messy, their fights raw. Homer sang the Iliad and Odyssey, his voice carrying Troy's fall. Odysseus' long road, his lines stretching like a river steady and clear. The myths gave names to the sky. Orion, the hunter, his belt, 3 stars, a sword hanging low. The Pleiades, 7 sisters, their light a faint shimmer. Planets carried the gods' weight. Mars for Ares, his war red. Venus for Aphrodite, her beauty bright. Jupiter for Zeus, his storms wide. Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides built plays, their stages stone, their actors masked, telling of Oedipus, his fate a noose, Antigone, her defiance, a fire. Medea, her rage, a blade, the crowds hushed, the air thick. Painters in the Renaissance Botticelli. Michelangelo brushed Venus onto canvas, her shell glowing, Icarus falling. His wings broken, their colors deep, their stories alive. Freud and Jung dug into the mind, saw Oedipus's shadow. Electra's grief, the gods as pieces of us, their pull eternal. Books kept going. Joyce's Ulysses, a nod to Odysseus Riordan's, Percy Jackson, the gods walking modern streets. Their lightning new, their fights old. Films roared with titans, their voices deep. Heroes swinging swords, their courage bright. The myths breathing their lessons sharp, their echoes long. We've walked through the ancient world, from chaos' dark void to Olympus's shining peak, from heroes' hard-won battles to the underworld's quiet shadows. These stories, born in Greece thousands of years ago, still whisper to us of courage, of love, of the cost of reaching too far. They've shaped art, thought, the names we give the stars, their weight carried across time. As we leave, picture the gods on their mountain, their voices a faint hum, the heroes resting, their labors done. Thanks for joining this journey through Greek mythology. May its tales linger in your mind, a spark from an old fire burning steady.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, drop a comment below, and please like, share and subscribe my channel.